want to talk to you about universal basic income. What do you think about artificial intelligence and automation and the removal of all these jobs, which is a real concern that a lot of people have. And then the way to mitigate it that's being bandied about is universal basic income, that they would give you a certain amount of money. And I think the idea is that everyone would get it. Even wealthy people would get it.
Yeah.
And that would be the only way to make it fair. But where the fuck is that money coming from? And then what do you think about it?
I don't think it. I'm not an economist, man.
Right.
But I don't think it's feasible, at least right now. I do believe that on a technological level, we will eventually reach like a Star Trek, kind of future where it's not about communism. It's just literally like scarcity's gone.
Right.
Like they have replicators. But when it comes to universal basic income, people need to understand some basic economic principles. If everybody gets $1,000, okay.
That's $300 million.
Right.
But it's not everybody. It's everybody of working age, right?
Yes. So let's do this. I own a burger shop. I need to hire someone to flip burgers. So I say we pay $10 an hour. It's not a lot, but we're a small business. We can't really afford to pay more. Is that acceptable? They say I get $1,000 a month. Why would I spend if not really.
Well, the idea is that the $1,000 a month that you get to keep, and then
my time's worth more than $10 an hour. I don't care. When I was 17, 18, I worked for American Eagle Airlines. I was lifting like 50,000 pounds per day, and I was getting $10 an hour.
You must have been jacked.
No, I've been skateboarding my whole life, so I was certainly in shape. But if you told me, hey, you know how you're making less than $1,000 a month working full time after taxes? How about we just give you $1,000? I'd be like, I'll be at the skate park.
Yeah.
So there's some positives that people will pursue their passions. But hold on, how many people do you know want to be comedians and they're not funny?
Quite a few.
Quite a few. And imagine if you said we're going to subsidize your endeavor into a thing you're not good at.
Yeah.
How many people are really good at being carpenters, but they wish they could be pro football players? How many people are really good at being teachers, but want to be a famous actor?
So what do you think would be some sort of an appropriate response to automation and artificial intelligence? I mean, you can't just have millions and millions of people just have nowhere to go.
And that's a
quagmire.
This is why I've never been a pot smoker. I think I've smoked like once in my life.
Want to try now?
No, it's just not my thing.
I get
but
it.
Everyone always would think I was stoned because I would talk about this kind of stuff with my friends while they were stoned. Mm-hmm. The philosophical consequences of technological innovation.
Yeah.
It is not the postmaster's fault that he spent 30 years becoming the best of the best in working at the post office, that technology emerged that is going to displace him and put him in the poorhouse.
Right.
When I was about 19 years old, I was skateboarding in downtown Chicago, and I saw an old black homeless man. And I had some leftover food, and I was like, hey, what's up, dude? You want some food? And he was like, oh, thanks, man. And I was just like, I got to know, can I ask you a question? How did you become homeless? And he said, you know what, man? He's like, I think he was like 60-something. He said, I used to have a job. I worked all day, every day, had a family. Eventually, my didn't have kids. My friends started to get old and move on. I lost touch with a lot of them. Some of them died. And one day I got told that my job wasn't needed anymore. And so I couldn't do anything. Went on unemployment for a little bit, but the job I was good at didn't exist, right? I can't remember exactly what he said. This was 14 years ago. But he was like, so everywhere I went, I said, I'll do anything. I'll do anything. But even the small jobs that paid a little bit to flip burgers weren't enough to cover my rent. After a few months, I got evicted. Then, because I didn't have a place to live, I couldn't go to the job I did have. I started sleeping outside, and I've been here ever since. Damn. I'm like, that's sad, and that's a sad reality. What do you do? I don't know.
To AOC, but she hooks you up.
But that's the thing. She goes too far. But this is why I believe in some kind of social policy and safety net, Social Security, something to help these people.
Well, for sure. If we have a real community, you would help out the people that are in your community.
We're too big.
Yes, that's the problem.
Right? Communism works really, really well when you have like 5 people.
Right.
Yeah, I try explaining to people. They always make this political, the political compass, authoritarian, libertarian, left, right. And people like to claim that anarchists, like the violent, smashy ones in Antifa, are libertarian left. And I'm like, no. Like, the libertarian left quadrant are pot-smoking hippies who live on farms. Anarcho-communism makes a ton of sense when it's you and your buddies working together on a farm, sharing responsibilities. It doesn't make sense for a community of 300 million people, and you have to trade extremely specific resources to make a computer happen. Right? At that point, you need to be able to quantify the value of specific objects, and that's why communism doesn't work on massive scale. But I will say, when artificial intelligence is a different conversation. Technological advancement is going to result in like Luddite riots. Mm-hmm. The opioid crisis.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. I read that there was a connection between unemployment from these factories getting shut down and depressed dudes popping pills. There was a masculinity report was published by Harry's, the shaving company, and they said the overwhelming majority of what contributes to a man's happiness is gainful employment, like 80%. So what happens when a factory shuts down? You got a bunch of young dudes who want to do something, they want to matter, but they can't. There's nowhere to go anymore,
especially in a small town.
But I'll tell you what, man, Percocets feel real good. Those drugs, they feel fantastic, but they'll kill you. So that's, I think this contributes to the popularity of Bernie Sanders and Trump. They talked about the working class. They talked about these free trade agreements hurting people. They talked about getting the factories back together. And that means a lot to people who have been popping pills, who are depressed, who are sad and scared. That's a lot of people in this country.